All right, so I'm giving my 5-year review on having a Charger Hellcat. So I got it in 2019, and so it's been 5 years. So it's 2024 late now, so it's been a little over 5 years. I had 200 miles on it to start with. I just left the video that I like about the vehicle after 5 years. Now I'm leaving about 10 things that I don't like about the vehicle after 5 years. So if you're going to have a Hellcat or a car like this and you're interested, stay tuned till the end. But first thing I have on here is obviously when you first get the vehicle, you'll notice is brake dust. So the Brembos have horrible brakes. I shouldn't say horrible brakes themselves. The brakes are great. They have tons of brake dust though. So if you go 50 miles after you just clean your car and your brakes, you'll see brake dust on your rims again. So that's the biggest thing. The first thing, I think that's the first mod that I did, if you want to call it a mod, is getting ceramic pads from Z26 Power Stop pads. First things, I actually still have those on the car for 30-some thousand miles, and they're still holding up great, actually. But I downshift and stuff, I take it pretty easy on my brakes. Of course, if you're coming down from 180, you're gonna make them hot. But for the most part, these brakes, rotors original, and they're still holding up really well. The second thing I was going to talk about is before I change these tires, Pirellis are just crap, the ones they come with. So hardly any traction out back. The 275 that they come with is just horrible. I've got 305s on the back now, Michelin Pilot Sports, all seasons. These are great. So these are a lot better in the rain, but you still have to be really careful and think about what you're doing when you're driving around, because if you're too, well, heavy-footed in the rain, especially, like, you can really let it get away from you. And seen other guys running a summer tire with, you know, some sketchy tread on the back, going 35 and still spinning out and off the road is not what you want to do. So that's number two. Also, the thing I don't like about it is, especially at first, is the weight of the vehicle. It's got so much power and it's got such a good design that it's really not as noticeable as what people would have you believe. From the beginning, I thought it was just such a big, heavy vehicle that it would kind of like have points in the acceleration and stuff where it was kind of a dog. And it hasn't been like that at all. It's been pretty powerful, but as far as like taking turns, you know, you'll have some of that, the body roll, but I did put in strut tower, or strut brace rather, in the front first, and I noticed such a big improvement going like roundabouts and stuff, and just basic turns really. But at first, and I noticed it right away, and then when I started to really kind of push it to some limits, you definitely notice that helped keep everything feeling a lot better. And then eventually I went to that was from Speed Logics, and eventually I went to the rear also. I put in a strut brace back in the trunk too. It's got like a double bar back there. And that I did notice a little bit from that one. Not as much as I noticed from the front, because I did that one first. If I just started with the back, I probably wouldn't have gone with the front. But anyway, that really helped, I think, stabilize the car more. So if you're going to have a car like this, I think that's probably something you'd want to do eventually after having it. And another thing that I don't like about it is that the police, not all of them, but some of them like it and look because they're just looking because they like it. But some of the police kind of look at you like you're guilty already, just by association, by having a Hellcat. Like you're guilty, like you did something wrong. So you get that. And I kind of expected that from the beginning, but you definitely notice the cops watch you more, maybe waiting for you to do something stupid. But I haven't had any trouble with the cops, but I'm pretty smart when one comes around too at the same time. Another thing that is annoying on here, so I think this would be like number 5. I did 10 positive, 10 negative. So number 5 would probably be the fact that when you wash your car, it holds a lot of water in these, like, so it drips down into this strip rail here and down the back, but then it just kind of like sits. And if you don't blow that out, it'll sit there and you know, you can wash, dry your car. You go a few miles, and you got a bunch of water going down the back again. It dries up, and you got water lines everywhere constantly. It also gets some normal spots, I guess you can assume that it's going to have are going to be around the gas cap and around the mirrors and some of the window valleys there, but it really holds a lot in the back. So that's annoying. So anytime you wash your car, it's recommended, at least I always do. I got my air compressor. I just take the air and just blow out all the cracks. You know, I'll wipe the car down, dry it out, and then blow all the cracks out and then wipe it all down again. And then I'll open the trunk and clean it like maybe 2 or 3 times just to make sure it's completely dry. But that's kind of an annoying thing that, I mean, that's not a bad thing. And all these things that I'm naming really aren't terrible, but they can be annoying. I also wanted to say, from the factory, these, at least my car did, had a lot of orange peel on the paint. So the paint was kind of like had little, I guess if you know what orange peel is, the paint looks like the outside of an orange peel, where it's kind of lumpy and it reflects light very poorly. So when I would go to car shows, I was pretty embarrassed about that. And I know that you can't just like put ceramic coat on it and make it look better. You're just covering up your problem, and it might smooth it out a hair. But what I did is I just bit the bullet one winter, maybe 2 or 3 winters ago, and I sanded the whole car down to a gloss finish and then ceramic coated it. And now I don't feel bad when I go to a car show now, because my paint just stands up to all the other the really nice bodywork and car show quality cars, like the nice cars that have glass paint. That's what I wanted, so that's what I got out of this. So it is possible to sand all that out. They have enough clear coat on them to do that and look quality. I have a lot of people asking me if it's aftermarket paint at the car shows, the guys that know paint, and they're surprised to know that this is the factory paint. I just tell them what I did to it, and you know, they're pretty impressed, but they can tell. Another thing that I don't like is the plastic interior. So it's starting to look dated, but it has so much plastic in there that being black is like not as bad, but it starts getting scratched and stuff like that. So you got to be careful with scratching it. Then you got to try to fix the scratches. But I replaced a lot of the interior with carbon fiber dash bezel and just all around the car, as much as I could, to kind of boost the quality, I guess you'd say, of the car itself. So at least some of that's fixable, but it is annoying that it's made with so much plastic. I also have to say that another thing is that the fact that it looks a little dated inside. They've had that same interior for quite some time. It is a nice interior overall as far as the aesthetics of it, but you can start to tell, like the Uconnect screen inside is, you know, like pretty small compared to the screens you see nowadays. So when you hop into it, it starts to look small. I mean, it's the clarity on it is still okay, but you start to feel like it's a little dated inside of there. So that's one thing I'm not crazy about. An obvious thing that I don't like about this car is the fact that it's like the #1 stolen vehicle in the country, not just a Hellcat itself, but a Hellcat Charger. So I think that they say 26% of all Hellcat Chargers are stolen. That doesn't make me feel very good, but or safe. But I mean, I have preventive measures in place, just in case. You know, I have a kill switch. I have the plate that goes over the pull tab for the neutral transmission. I also have GPS, so it makes me feel a little bit better. But I still don't like the fact that someone might want to come over and bash my window in or something like that. It doesn't make me feel really good. Another thing that I think I understand maybe why they do it. but I don't really like is the fact that the active exhaust from the factory, it may suit what they're trying to do, or maybe in California they just have to have it, but for the most part I don't like the active exhaust. So I took the spring out of the active exhaust and I welded the valves open so that it's just on all the time, and it fixed that problem. But that's one thing that you might want to consider when you get a car like this, is the fact that most people want it to be a little bit louder. I didn't want it to be too loud, so I mean, I still have my cats. I have my mufflers, but I put some carbon type R's in there, and I really like those. They're a little more aggressive than the factory. And then I have 5-inch carbon tips, so I like my setup as far as the way it sounds. But yeah, the last thing I have on here, and this is like a bonus, so I think it's actually number 11. The fact of what I don't like about these, and maybe it's every car, but definitely Dodge, is the coolant tanks inside. They come with those plastic clear tanks that they yellow over time. They just look god awful. And if anybody cares about their engine bay, they usually cover it with you know, some plastic pieces or some aluminum pieces to try to cover it. I went with Moroso coolant tanks that were aluminum brushed, and then I just polished them up to make them look nicer. Definitely better from the factory. So that's another thing. There's little things like that that you might get annoyed with, but if those are the top 10 that I can come up with, you know, I can definitely live with that, because I'm really happy with this vehicle. I knew when I got it that I wanted to keep it for as long as I could and take care of it as well as I could, and I'm very happy that I did. So if anybody is questioning whether they can get one or should get one, I definitely would recommend it. Thank you.